Deep in the woods and along the fence rows where my people live, there grows a humble little berry that most folks walk right past without a second glance. And every fall we gather it by the bucketful, because from that one dark little berry we make a remedy that has guarded our families against the coughs and colds and miseries of winter for generations. Doctors rarely mention it. The store won't point you to it, and yet it may be one of the most time-honored cold season remedies there ever was. It's the elderberry, and today I'm going to tell you all about it, how we gather it, how we make it into a syrup, and how we use it. But I'll be honest with you right from the first breath, the way I always am, because that title deserves a straight answer. It's not that doctors are hiding this from you in some dark plot. The truth is plainer and sadder than that. We simply forgot. A whole world of gentle, homemade remedies that our grandmothers knew by heart got set down and forgotten, crowded out by the bottles on the store shelf until hardly a soul remembers them. Nobody buried this. We just let go of it. And today, we pick it back up. So let me tell you about this elderberry, because it's a wonderful thing. The elder is a bush or a small tree that grows wild across a great deal of this country, along the edges of woods, by the creeks, in the hedgerows. In the late summer and early fall, it hangs heavy with clusters of tiny, dark purple, near black berries. And those berries have been used as a cold and flu remedy for a very, very long time, going back centuries across many lands and many peoples. Folks have always reached for the elderberry when the sniffling season came on, and there's good reason it earned that trust over so many generations. It's rich in the good things that support a body fighting off the misery of a cold, and it's been a friend to the ailing since long before anyone knew why it worked. Now here I have to stop you before you go running off to the nearest bush, because with the elderberry there is one warning that matters more than all the rest, and you must hear it clearly. Raw elderberries and the leaves and stems and bark of the plant are not safe to eat as they are. They can make you sick, quite sick, to the stomach. The berries must be cooked, properly cooked, before you use them, and you use only the ripe berries, never the leaves or stems or the unripe green berries. This is why the elderberry is almost always made into a syrup, because the cooking is part of what makes it safe. So never, ever eat them raw off the bush. Cook them properly, use only the ripe berries, and then they're a fine old remedy. Skip that step, and they'll do you harm instead of good. I tell you that first because it matters most. So let me tell you how we make the syrup, because it's a simple and satisfying thing to do. You gather your ripe elderberries, and you strip them off their stems, which is a patient little job, often done of an evening with the whole family helping, everyone's fingers going purple. Then you put those berries in a pot with water, and often some things that add their own goodness and flavor. A bit of ginger, maybe a stick of cinnamon, a few cloves, and you simmer it all low and slow for a good while, until the berries have given up all their dark goodness into the liquid and cooked through completely. Then you strain out the spent berries, and you press every last drop of that rich, dark juice from them. And to what's left, that deep purple liquid, you stir in honey once it's cooled a bit, which sweetens it and adds honey's own soothing power and helps it keep. And there you have it, elderberry syrup, a dark, rich, sweet tart syrup that you take by the spoonful. We take a little through the cold season to help fortify us, and more at the first sign of a cold coming on. It's pleasant to take, even the children don't mind it, and it's one of the old comforts of winter in a home like mine. Now let me give you that same important warning again, folded into the making, because it bears repeating. The cooking is not optional. It is what makes the berries safe. So you simmer them good and proper. And the honey, remember, means this syrup is for grown folks and children over a year old. Never for a baby under 1, because honey is not safe for the littlest ones, not in any form. Keep those 2 rules. Cook the berries and no honey for babies, and elderberry syrup is a safe and time-honored friend for the cold season. But the elderberry, wonderful as it is just one star in a whole sky of old remedies, and I don't want to leave you with just the one. So let me give you a few more of the gentle old ways for the everyday miseries of winter, the kind of simple comforts every household once knew. For a raw and scratchy throat, there is nothing simpler or more soothing than a spoonful of honey, plain, letting it coat and calm that irritated place. And the old saltwater gargle, a good pinch of salt stirred into warm water, gargled and spat out, truly does soothe a sore throat, and even the doctors will tell you to do it. For a stuffed-up head, there's the steam, leaning over a bowl of hot water with a towel over your head to breathe in that warm moisture and loosen everything up. These cost almost nothing and comfort a great deal. And then there are the teas, the warm herbal teas that are a whole world of comfort in a cup. A warm tea soothes and it keeps the water in you, which matters more than folks realize when they're ailing. Peppermint clears the head and settles the stomach. Chamomile calms and helps a weary body rest, and rest is more than half of healing. Ginger warms you clean through and is a friend to the stomach and the cold alike. Thyme, that you thought was only for cooking, makes a tea long used for a cough. A cupboard of dried herbs grown in a little garden or a few pots and hung to dry is a cupboard of comfort for the whole winter. There's the old honey and lemon in warm water, too, simple as can be and soothing as anything. And garlic, which the old folks held in high regard, a clove crushed into a bit of honey or warm broth at the first hint of a cold. None of these are miracles. They're gentle comforts, and for the small, everyday complaints, gentle comfort is exactly what a body needs. Let me say a bit more about the gathering, because there's real knowledge in it, and a real caution, too. If you mean to gather elder from the wild, you must be absolutely certain of what you're picking, because there are other plants out there with clusters of berries that are not elder and are not safe, and a careless eye can confuse them. So this is one where you learn from someone who truly knows, or from a good, careful guide, before you ever pick a single berry to use. Learn the elder properly, its leaves, its flowers, the way its berry clusters hang, so you know it beyond any doubt. That certainty is itself part of the skill, and it's the same rule I give for anything gathered wild. Never use what you cannot name with complete confidence. Once you truly know the elder, though, it becomes an old friend you'll spot from the road, and gathering it each fall becomes one of the small, good rhythms of the year. And there's more to the elder than just the berries, for the flowers have their uses too. In the late spring, before ever the berries come, the elder puts out great, flat clusters of tiny, creamy white flowers, and those blossoms have long been gathered and dried for a gentle tea, a soothing thing for the cold season, mild enough for most anyone. So the elder gives twice, its flowers in the spring and its berries in the fall, and the old folks made use of both. There's a lesson in that, in knowing a single plant so well that you can draw good from it in more than one season. That's the kind of deep, patient knowledge of the land that my people have kept, and that most of the world has let slip away, the knowing of what grows around you and what it can do for you. Now let me tell you how we keep and use the syrup once it's made, because that matters too. A good elderberry syrup made with honey will keep for a good while in a cool place, in the icebox if you have one, and you take it in small spoonfuls. Through the ordinary cold season, we take just a little, here and there, as a way of fortifying the body against what's going around. And then at the very first hint of a cold coming on, that first scratch in the throat, that first tired, achy feeling, we take a bit more often, to give the body every help we can at the moment it most needs it. That's the old wisdom of it, a little steady support through the season, and extra at the first sign of trouble. And you make it fresh each fall from the new harvest, so you've always got a jar of it dark and waiting when the cold months come round. Let me also give you a warming tonic that goes hand in hand with all this, an old cold season standby, because the the elder isn't the only friend in the winter cupboard. There's the honey and vinegar tonic, made with good vinegar, the kind with the mother still in it, and honey stirred together, sometimes warmed in water with a bit of ginger or a touch of something fiery for those who can take it. A spoonful of that at the first scratch of a cold was a long trusted way to brace the body. And there's the simple hot lemon and honey and water, which soothes the throat and comforts a whole weary body of an evening. And the fire of a good ginger tea, grated fresh and steeped, which warms you from the center out on the coldest, most miserable day. These humble tonics, taken warm, comfort and hydrate and hearten a body that's fighting something off, and they cost next to nothing, and they've been reached for in homes like mine for as long as anyone can recall. And underneath every one of these remedies is the oldest and truest medicine of all, the one we forget precisely because it's free. Rest. Warmth. Plenty of warm fluids. A body that is let to rest, kept warm and given plenty to drink, will heal itself of most ordinary sickness given a little time. All these remedies, the elderberry and the honey and the teas and the tonics, do is comfort the body and ease the misery while the body does its own quiet, patient work of healing. That's worth understanding deep down. You are not forcing a cure. You are supporting a body that already knows how to heal, easing its way, keeping it comfortable while it does what it was made to do. The syrup, the tea, the warm cup, the rest, they all serve that one gentle purpose, and they serve it beautifully. Now I must be the honest neighbor with you, plainly and seriously, because your health and your family's health is nothing to be careless with. Everything I've shared today is meant for the small, ordinary miseries of the cold season. The common cough, the scratchy throat, the stuffy head, the run-down feeling of an everyday cold. These are the things families have always tended at home with comfort and rest and simple remedies, and that mostly just need time and care to pass. That is what these old ways are for, and they serve it well. But they are not for the serious things, and I would be doing you a great wrong to let you think otherwise. A high fever that climbs and won't come down, real trouble breathing, a sickness that drags on or keeps getting worse, sharp or severe pain, a cough that brings up blood, anything that frightens you or seems beyond the ordinary run of a cold. Those are not for elderberry and tea. Those are for a real doctor, and you go and you don't wait. There is no wisdom in trying to treat something serious with a spoonful of syrup. The old remedies are for the small things. The doctor is for the big things. A wise soul knows the difference and uses both, each in its proper place. And one more honest word. If you take other medicines, or you've got an ongoing condition, some herbs and strong remedies can mix poorly with certain medicines. So have a word with your doctor or pharmacist before you start dosing yourself with strong herbal things. The plain honey, the salt gargle, the warm tea, those are gentle as can be. But be sensible, and when in doubt, ask someone who knows your health and your body. With all that said, honestly, let me come back to the heart of why I wanted to share this with you, because there's something in it deeper than the elderberry. There was a time, not so very long ago, when this knowledge lived in every home. When the cold season came, the mother or the grandmother knew just what to do, went to the pantry or out to the hedgerow, and made the syrup, and put the kettle on, and tended her family through the sniffles with things that were already at hand. It cost next to nothing. It comforted, and it was handed down, one generation to the next, for hundreds of years. That was simply how a family cared for its own. And then, bit by bit, that knowledge slipped through our fingers. We were taught to reach for the bottle on the store shelf for every little thing, to feel helpless without it, to believe that caring for a cold required something bought and packaged and expensive. And the old simple ways, the elderberry and the honey and the Arden got left behind, until a whole generation grew up never learning them at all. Not because they stopped working. The elderberry works exactly as well today as it did for our great-grandmothers, but because we stopped passing it down. The knowledge didn't fail us. We let go of its hand. And let me linger a moment on just how the forgetting happened, because I think understanding it is part of making sure we don't let it happen again. It wasn't taken from us by any villain. What happened is that life got busy and the store got close and everything got convenient, and one convenient choice at a time we stopped doing for ourselves. Why gather elderberries and simmer them down of an evening when there's a bottle on the shelf that promises to fix everything faster? Why learn what your grandmother knew when you could just buy the answer on the way home? And so, slow and quiet, the gathering stopped, the making stopped, the teaching stopped. The grandmothers who knew passed on, and their daughters were busier and learned only a little, and their granddaughters never learned at all, and in 3 short generations a knowledge that had lived unbroken for centuries near about vanished from the earth. Not with a bang, with a shrug. One busy, convenient choice at a time. And that's the very thing I'm trying to undo here. One video, one remembered remedy at a time. And here's the thing I want you to really take hold of. These old remedies are not second best. We've been taught to think of home remedies as a poor substitute, the thing you settle for when you can't get the real thing. But for the small everyday miseries of a cold, a spoonful of honey for a raw throat, a warm tea, a bit of elderberry syrup, these are not settling. They are often the gentlest and the wisest answer there is, with nothing harsh in them, nothing your body has to labor to handle, just simple comfort that helps you heal. The old way was never a lesser way. For a great many of life's ordinary complaints, it was, and it still is, a kinder, gentler, wiser way. So don't reach for these thinking you're making do with less. For the right troubles, you're reaching for the very best there is. So when that title says it's a remedy the doctors don't want you to know, here's the truer way to put it. It's a remedy the modern world made us forget. And forgetting is a thing that can be undone. You can learn it back. You can be the one in your family who remembers again, who knows the elder bush by the creek, who can make a dark, sweet syrup against the winter, who puts the kettle on and tends her people the old way, and who passes that knowing on to the little ones so it isn't lost a second time. That is a quiet kind of power, and it belongs to anyone willing to reach out and take it back. And there is a comfort in it, too, that goes beyond the remedy itself. There is something healing in simply being cared for, in the honey and the warm cup and the gentle hand of someone who loves you. When you make a child a mug of warm elderberry or honey and lemon and sit beside them while they sip it, you are not only easing their cold, you are giving them comfort and care and the old human warmth of being tended by their own. That matters as much as any medicine. It's the oldest medicine there is, and no factory will ever bottle it. So here's what I'd ask of you. This fall, if the elder grows where you are, learn to know it, and gather a little, and make yourself a jar of syrup the proper cooked way. Or if that's beyond you, at least stock your simple remedy shelf, a good jar of honey, some lemons, a bit of ginger and garlic, and a few jars of dried herbs, peppermint and chamomile and thyme. That's a whole cabinet of old comfort for next to nothing. And the next time a cold comes creeping through your house, before you run to the store, try the old way first. Make the syrup or the tea. Put the kettle on. Tend your people with warmth and rest and the gentle things. For the small everyday miseries, you'll be amazed how well it serves. just as it served the long line of families before us. And you'll have taken back a piece of knowledge that never should have slipped away. Let me tell you one last thing, a memory, because it's the truest way I know to show you what this is really about. When I was a boy and the cold season came, there was never any panic in our house, never any helpless rush to the store. There was my grandmother, calm as still water, and her dark jar of elderberry syrup down from the shelf, and the kettle going, and a warmth about her whole way of being that told us, without a word, that everything would be all right. She knew what to do. Her mother had known, and her mother before that. And that steady, quiet knowing was itself a kind of healing, maybe the deepest kind. That's the true inheritance I want to hand to you today. Not only the recipe for a syrup, but the calm confidence of a soul who knows how to care for their own, come what may. That confidence is worth more than any bottle on any shelf, and it is yours the moment you decide to learn the old ways again. If this is the kind of gentle, honest, old wisdom you've been hungry for, the kind that got quietly set aside and nearly forgotten, then stay here with me. There's so much more where this came from, and I aim to bring it back to you, one piece at a time, always honest, always with care. Subscribe, and we'll keep remembering the old ways together, because some of the most precious things we ever knew are the simple, kindly ones we let ourselves forget, and it is never, ever too late to remember them.